sad. But my plan is really not at all sad. It's just that it should be done next week. The law should change, and everybody's navies, at last, they could come out of mothballs and be used to protect their fisheries, right up to, so the UK's waters, actually, no, that's a pity, it's a bad idea, because it would hit Ireland. So Ireland would own half the ocean up to where it meets with the States. Everywhere across the world, that should be done.
Yeah.
What happened with the Falkland Islands and British, and the only reason they're there is actually the fishery, isn't it?
Yeah, but they'd get it up to halfway off the tip of Chile, where they would meet in the middle, everywhere across the world. It would be very complicated, but it wouldn't be complicated for the people actually living there.
So then, all of a sudden, these tiny islands in the middle of the oceans and things would become incredibly
very rich,
valuable.
Yes, and they would. My
people
goodness,
would
they
go
would
to
look
war
after,
to take.
They would really look after their fisheries.
Yeah,
people do. If you raise, I think when we were hunter-gatherers, I've seen it happen. You don't even bother kill your water chevrolet, your little antelope when you've caught it in a net. If you're a pygmy, it doesn't mean they're cruel. They're lovely people, but it never occurs to them to look after the stock. I mean, they do because of its riches, but not until we became farmers and actually farming things. Do
then
we
it's property.
Make very sure, then it's property, and then you look after the chicks. You don't eat your chicks, you keep seed corn.
Yeah, and I guess that's the weird thing, is because you can't put easy boundaries on the ocean as you can with land.
Yeah.
You can't put up a fence and say this is ours, stay out.
Although, funnily enough, the best conservationists of their own waters and their own shellfish and fish were the Japanese from the Middle Ages. Each village owned that stretch going out to sea. I don't know what the limit was.
Yeah.
But then if you was caught fishing in your neighbours, you were killed. And it worked very well.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So somebody is commenting better a long life in the ocean than one in the bio industry. For the
Bio industry, yeah.
Bio industry, like the bio. How do you say it? Bio.
Oh,
industry.
bio.
Yeah. They still think it's better in the ocean than like the pigs and the chickens we breed.
Well, that's true. That's the thing that Rupert Murray said, that they are wild animals, and people forget this when they see them in packages next to chickens and beef that were farmed.
Yes, but they could be ranched and still be wild animals, as they are in Iceland. Only the cod are managed, and the fact that that fishery is managed so well and there are no discards means that everything else in that sea benefits, and the cod are still wild predators, and you keep the whole of the food web. It's in your interest to do so. It's in your interest to keep a full working ecosystem.
What?
Ah, right. Oh, good.
And then we have a comment from Connie Onsen. She says fish, they have a monogamous relationships. Fish have monogamous relationships.
Very few species.
Well, I read a paper that really upset me. It was called "Do Fish Have Friends?" And it was a study of salmon, and all the salmon from one river stay together. So it looks as if they do have friends, and they're calling each other, Esmeralda and Old Pop and so on, and they go back to the same river.
Yeah.
But another bad thing happened. We went to the wonderful aquarium in London, and there's a shallow pool, and all the little skates and rays come up to the side, and they lift themselves out of the water, and it's actually their nostrils, but it looks as if they're grinning at you. And they want you to wet your hands and then stroke the back of their necks. And as I was leaving, I heard a tough Marine. I knew he was in the special forces, and he said to his girlfriend, "Oh Christ," he said, "is there anything left to effing eat?" I can't eat fish now.
Well, too cute.
Well, they're too lovely.
Yeah.
If Blugman says it's a very good idea to close the oceans for 2 years, do you think it could happen? That we could do it?
Stop people fishing for 2 years?
Yeah.
I don't think that's probably not enough anyway, is it?
No, let's do my plan first. And then the oceans will be naturally closed to other people.
Yeah.
But I did like what you said about in Iceland, the fact that when they discover the areas where the cod are raising the young, or where the young happen to be.
Which change every year, and of course that was a good adaptation to begin with, so that there wasn't a nursery that was fixed in place where predators could come. But it just means we pull out without meaning to, all the little cod get caught.
Yeah, and then there's nothing to catch in a few years' time because they're all the young are gone. Yeah.
But the Icelanders really got their fishing under control.
What did you think of Rupert's documentary? The End of the Line.
Really powerful.
Excellent.
Yeah, really powerful. But again, the solution seemed obvious, and I told him, and he said, well, he'd never heard of that. Nobody thought of that, which can't be true, but it's quite a big leap that all this vast ocean should be owned by somebody, Homo sapiens, who looks so fragile and ridiculous, actually has this awesome power. Well, stop fighting over it. Stop cleaning it out.
Yeah. Waiting for questions. If you have questions for Anthony of Redmond, you can send them.
But it's like, is this a good fishing area of the ocean? It's not, is it? I mean, you don't see any fishing vessels there.
It's a desert.
Yeah, I got the idea that it's only a desert because it's the beginning of El Nino. That normally it's wonderful and fertile. But some of these marvellous email things that I've only just learnt about coming in say, this has always been a bad area. This far out, we're 600 kilometres out. If we were nearer the coast, it might be better, but not in El Nino years.
Yes.
And I don't really understand about El Nino, but the minute that Gregory Cushman started talking about chaos theory, I knew that it's okay. We don't have to understand. It happens every year, and it's the energy or the whatever suddenly jumps from one quantum to another. Or
but that's for a future episode.
Yes, yes, all right.
Yeah. No, but that's true. You don't see too many. It's a problem with impressions. You don't see lots of fishing vessels out. You know, we don't pass them daily.
You hardly see any boats.
No,
it's an extraordinary thing. On this voyage, I thought we'd see 2 or 3 or 5 ships a day. The waters would be crowded. We haven't seen anything, even on the Atlantic. Maybe it's because it's a sailing course and the others are just going straight to their destinations with a motor.
I think there are certain sort of highways, as it were, that freighters would do. But
so we have a lot of people who like it, and also a lot of people who are terrified. They are in shock that we do this with our world.
Yeah.
And they are wondering that they get there, that they are surprised that they did not know where their fish is coming from.
Yeah, that's the problem. People sort of started worrying about livestock and things years and years ago, about, you know, battery farm chickens and things like that, and bad conditions for cattle and sheep. But we are a long way behind with fish.
As you've been saying, a major solution to all these problems, give it time, is to limit the number of children we all have to 2. Well, I've got a better plan than that as well. I think that somehow or other we really must concentrate on raising the percentage of homosexuals in our population from 10% to at least 51%. Then everybody would be happy, and also we'd solve all these problems. And I think they should get grants that only homosexuals should join the Army, the Navy, or the Air Force. There should be tremendous incentives to stop this terrible breeding. And if you think about it, 10%, now that's a lot. That is enough to give you a wonderful army of bonded guys, if you're a male homosexual, who just want to be together and to fight other people. And it happened with the army of Sparta, where in the very front rank was the beautiful, beautiful boy. Second rank, no, nothing to do with it. Third rank, the guy was in love with the guy in the first rank. So when they went to battle, if the general had got it right, and all he had to do was know the gossip, he got it right, so that they ran straight instead of all over the place if he got the lovers wrong. Then they advanced yelling. They were fighting for love, and they screamed and they ran like crazy. And the poor Athenians sitting there were thinking, oh God, why the hell am I here? And my wife is off with the butcher. You know, what about my kids? So they pissed off. They couldn't take it.
Okay.
And the same applies to the British Navy in the 19th century.
Back to fishing.
This will solve the population problem.
Oh, I see.
Connie Francis, he's
and also spread pleasure.
Connie Francis is kind of embarrassed to be human, actually, and she has a question: how do you count birds such fast on the ocean?
Yeah.
Well,
that's a real talent,
Mardik,
isn't it?
the real professional, was here. he came clean and he'd say, well, there's 318. We'd say, how do you know that? And he said, well, I estimate it very fast.
Yeah. No, but they